I hope that I'm sitting far back enough that you can't see how messed up my lipstick is right now. But if you can, I'm sorry. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my September wrap-up. On time this month. Would you look at that? So I had such an exciting September. I vlogged most of it. 3 out of the 4 weeks. If you guys don't know, September was Schwabtember, which was a month-long readathon that I was hosting with my friends Alyssa and Kirsten. And it was just so much fun. There was so much participation online, which was just so amazing. So I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you missed it, I did vlog the entire month, which I'll link up in the cards or down in the description or whatever if you guys missed out on them. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about these books because I did vlog, like I said, almost the entire month, and I talked about every single one of these books in those vlogs, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just kind of want to have this as a wrap up on my channel. So let's just get started. I read 12 books in the month of September, which is crazy. Yeah, let's just get started. So the first book I actually don't have with me anymore because I had to return it to the library, but it is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the Villains series, duology. Do we even know what this is? Is she writing a third book? There's a third book on Goodreads. It says Villains #3. So, do we know? I don't know. If you guys don't know, Vicious is about Victor and Eli, and they used to be college roommates, best friends. They decided to become EOs, or extraordinaries, kind of like superheroes, by creating near-death experiences for themselves. And then they end up becoming enemies. And it's just like this really interesting plot and like morally gray characters or villains. It's just really interesting. I've never really read a story like this before. But I really enjoyed this book. I read it in a day. I would have read it in one sitting if I didn't have a busy schedule the day that I read it, but it was phenomenal. I really loved the characters of Victor and Eli, even though they're not necessarily like good people, but I just found them fascinating. And even though like not a whole lot actually happens in this book, because I was so invested in Victor and Eli and in their stories and kind of in everything that was happening with them, I was just immediately like invested in the story even though nothing was happening. I really enjoyed the flashbacks that we got back to when Victor and Eli were college roommates. So I just had like a great time. I really enjoyed it. My only like complaint about this book is that the ending felt a little rushed, and like it felt like it happened so fast for all of the build up that we got for it. So I kind of wish that we got like a bit more of the ending. I had it like drawn out just like a little bit longer just so it kind of felt better paced, I guess. But that's kind of my only complaint. It didn't really ruin anything about the book. It was just kind of something that I noticed as I was reading. I do think that the ending would have bothered me much more with the way that it all wrapped up so like quickly, if I didn't know that there was a sequel coming out, because of course when this book was originally written, it was written as a standalone. So I feel like if I were to read it back when I just thought it would be a standalone, I think I might have enjoyed it a little less than I did knowing that there was a sequel that I could jump right into. But I gave Vicious a 4 out of 5 stars. I had a really good time reading it. It was super captivating and interesting, and I had a great time. The next book I'm not going to talk about really at all, but it's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This is obviously a reread for me. This was just me wrapping up my reread of the Harry Potter series, and I annotated it, of course. Actually, I didn't really annotate it. I tabbed it up because I've already annotated this book. I tabbed it because I didn't tab it the first time, and I added some highlights, but I didn't physically write in the book again. I just didn't want to. I technically annotated it, I guess, a second time, but yes, I of course absolutely love this book. It's my favorite in the entire series. I hope to do a video where I rank the Harry Potter books from least favorite to favorite at some point this year, so look out for that. This one, spoiler alert, is my favorite, so obviously I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And then the third book that I read is a book that carried on from August, that I was just wrapping up, and that is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. I listened to this one on audiobook. Like I said, I started in August, didn't get a chance to finish it, so I quickly finished it at the beginning of September. And this one was just okay. I really enjoyed Red Queen. I tried jumping into this book, I think it was last year. I got about halfway through and decided that I wasn't in the mood for it, so I put it down and didn't pick it back up, and I forgot everything that happened. So I started over with the audiobook. I didn't dislike this book, I didn't love it. It was just kind of there, something to listen to. Nothing spectacular or amazing. I definitely prefer the first book, I think. And I do think that I want to continue the series physically as opposed to audiobooks, unless I really just don't have time or like don't feel like it, or find it like hard to get through. But I do really want to love this series, not just because I own them all and have them all signed, but because I really do just want to love this story. I hope that it gets better. I don't know, if you've read this series, let me know what you think about it down below, because I'd really like to know. I know that this is quite like a polarizing book in the booktube community. Not everyone loves it, a lot of people actually hate it, so let me know what you think about it. But I just kind of felt meh about this book. Like I said, just something to listen to. I don't particularly care for any of the characters. I do like the idea of Mare and Cal, but besides that I don't really care for anybody, so I hope that kind of changes going forward. But I couldn't even tell you what happens in this book. I just don't remember anything. But I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars, which is kind of like my default rating whenever I don't know how I feel about a book, or if it was just kind of there. 3 out of 5 stars is typically my default. The next book I read was Vengeful, again by V.E. Schwab. Again, I don't have it with me because I had to return it to the library, but I really enjoyed this one. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed Vicious. It just, I don't know, it just kind of fell a bit flat for me. I didn't like how we had so many characters we were focusing on, that we didn't get to focus on Victor or Eli very much, which are my favorite characters because it's supposed to be their story, but this one was kind of focusing more on Marcella, and I just didn't really care enough. Like, I liked Marcella, I thought she was really interesting, but after a while I kind of got tired of it, and I'm like, I just want to see Victor and Eli, and I didn't get as much of that as I wanted. Also, I didn't really like the ending, and this is kind of my problem. Like I said, if I were to read Vicious without knowing that there was a sequel, it would have bothered me more, and this one's the exact same way. It's kind of the same kind of like open-ended ending, and I don't like that. If I don't know that there's gonna be a sequel, like I have no idea what's happening with this series. I don't know if there's another book coming out. I think there is. Let me know if you know down below, because I honestly have no clue. But if there is no sequel, I'm gonna be really annoyed, because this was like such a weird ending. It was focused on a character I didn't really care about, and I'm just like really confused, and I honestly don't even remember what it was, but like I'm just confused. So I hope there's another book so I can kind of like get a better ending. It's kind of annoyed, so I kind of like left a sour taste in my mouth. If a book doesn't have like a stellar ending, it kind of like taints the rest of the book. Like no matter how much I was enjoying a book, if the ending kind of is weird, then it just doesn't leave a good feeling in my mouth, and so it kind of like ruined it a little bit. But I still enjoyed the book. I obviously still love like the world and the idea of extraordinaries. There were new elements in this book, and like I said, new characters, but I think there were just too many characters, and that's kind of a problem that I have with books. If there's too many characters, I don't get to spend enough time with the characters I actually care about, and then I just get annoyed. But overall, it was an enjoyable book. I still enjoyed it, and I gave Vengeful 3.5 out of 5, although I'm kind of thinking maybe more 3.75, I don't really know, but like in that 3.5-ish star range. And then I read The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab, which I really enjoyed this book. Like I just completely fell in love with it. If you don't know what this book is about, it takes place in this small little town called Near, and they don't have any strangers here, okay? They know who everybody is, and so one day when a stranger strolls into town and is spotted, they get a little apprehensive, and then children start disappearing in the middle of the night, and they have no idea where they're going or what's happening, and they start to blame this stranger. Our main character kind of strikes up a friendship or relationship with this character and is trying to prove to the rest of the town that he is not responsible for the missing children, and there might be something lurking around that is actually responsible. So I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really atmospheric and perfect for this time of the year. Even though it takes place, I'm pretty sure, in the summertime, it just feels like a fall-time spooky Halloween book. It deals with witches and like magic, and it's just like so wonderful. The way that V.E. Schwab writes is just stellar, and like this is like her debut book, so you know, it was amazing. Also, I was really worried going into it that I wouldn't love it, because there's been a lot of like mixed reviews coming out for it, and of course it was out of print for a long time, and this is them reprinting it because it didn't do well the first time. So obviously I was like hesitant going into it, thinking that I wouldn't like it because of all of these like mixed reviews out there, but I actually really enjoyed it, and I don't know why people don't like it that much. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is her first middle grade novel, and we follow our main character Cass, who after a near-death experience where she almost drowned, well, she did drown, but now she can see past the veil and she can see and interact with ghosts. Parents don't know that she can see ghosts, but they are kind of like ghost hunter type people. They kind of inspect haunted things. They write books about the paranormal and the ghosts, and they get an opportunity to have a TV show where they travel to different haunted places in the world, this one taking place in Scotland. They kind of like explore the most haunted places in these cities and put it on TV. And so this book, they go to Scotland, and Cass kind of falls into some trouble with this one particular ghost, and she meets a new friend who is just like her and can also see ghosts, and it's kind of like this new experience for her. She also has a ghost best friend named Jacob, who I adore. He was definitely my favorite part of this entire book. Overall, I didn't love this book. I thought it was just kind of fun. Kind of how I feel about most middle grades. I just can't connect them most of the time as young adult books. I'm saying that as if a middle grade isn't my favorite book of all time, but whatever. It was just a fun book. I didn't take it too serious. I didn't really, like, I'm not like in love with it or anything. It didn't stick with me. I don't know when or if I'll even pick up the sequel, but it was just like a fun, light story. I can definitely see why people love it so much, but I think I would have liked it more if it maybe was for a bit of an older audience, like a young adult audience, where they could like delve a bit deeper into some of this stuff and make it a bit spookier. I think I would have enjoyed that a bit more, but I do see how people would like love it. I do see the appeal, and obviously I love ghosts and everything like that and spookiness, but this one just fell a little flat for me by no fault of its own. I think it's just like a personal thing. I don't really know. But I gave this one a 3.75 out of 5, but I think I would lower it to a 3.5. I'm going to talk about these next ones all together. So then I read the entire Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. These were my favorites of the entire month, A Conjuring of Light in particular. So this series is made up of A Darker Shade of Magic, A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light, and this, like I said, is definitely my favorites from the month. I'm so entranced by this world and so invested in these characters and this story, and I'm just like head over heels in love with this magic system, and like I said, with the characters. Rye, Kel, and Lila, and Alucard are all my favorite little babies. I just really love these books. I think I liked each one a bit more than the one before. If you guys don't know what A Darker Shade of Magic is about, it's basically about this world where there are 4 alternate Londons. There's Red London, White London, Grey London, and Black London, and some of them have magic, some of them don't, and we primarily take place in Red London, where our main character Kel lives, kind of like adopted into this royal family, the Maresh family. But Kel has this ability to travel between the different Londons. No one else can travel between Londons anymore. The doors have been closed off, but he is something called an Antari, where he can travel between the Londons, and he's a very rare type of magician, and so he has to travel between the Londons to deliver messages. But he has this like on the side bad habit hobby where he steals things from the different Londons and bring it back to his London for his own collection, and this is kind of like against the law. He's not supposed to bring things from different Londons into his London, but he does, and this kind of causes him some trouble when somebody kind of gives him this black magic stone that he's not supposed to have from Black London, and it kind of causes all these issues. He runs into Lila Bard, who's Grey London's most notorious thief, and she tries to pickpocket him and takes this black stone, and she ends up bribing him into taking her on an adventure to a different London. And it's just such a good story, and that doesn't even like scratch the surface of what this series is about, but it's so good. Like I said, I'm completely like in love with all of these characters and everything in this world. So I rated A Darker Shade of Magic 4 out of 5 stars. I rated A Gathering of Shadows 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I rated A Conjuring of Light 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. I actually listened to this on audio. If you guys have been keeping up with my wrap-ups this year, then you would know that back in January I read this Savage song and I did not enjoy it. I think I gave it like a 2-star or 2.5 out of 5 star rating, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the world. The only thing I really liked about it was the writing. For Schwabtember we had a bingo board that we created, and one of these spots was listen to an audiobook, and the only book that I was willing to listen to an audiobook was Our Dark Duet, and that was also the only one that was like available or going to be available during the month. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a second chance. It'll be something to listen to. So I picked it up, and as to be expected, I did not enjoy it. And guys, let me tell you, no one is more sad about it than I am. I really wanted to enjoy this duology. I wanted to love all of Victoria Schwab's books, but I just did not enjoy this one. I honestly found myself zoning out a lot during the audiobooks. I just did not care. Honestly, I don't really know what happened. That's all I really have to say. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Didn't really like it. Then I read Shades of Magic Volume 1, The Steel Prince. This is a comic in the Shades of Magic world, and we follow King Maxim Maresh, who is Kellen Rye's father from A Darker Shade of Magic, but this is when he is a prince. So this is a prequel to the series, and it is a comic book, so it's all about King Maxim when he was a prince. And I didn't really like this. I think it's my own personal problem, my own personal preference, where I just don't enjoy comic books unless they're like Archie comics, and I already have a hard time enough with like full-on graphic novels. So this was just a recipe for disaster, but I was really hoping for the best because of how much I love A Darker Shade of Magic. I just find comic books, especially ones of this like caliber of like magic and fighting, I just find it hard to follow. So most of the time I didn't even know what was happening. So that's my own thing, but I did really like the art style. It was really pretty. Although, like I said, hard to follow, but again, that's my own personal problem. So unfortunately, I didn't really enjoy this, but I'm deciding not to rate it because I don't even know what I would rate it, and I feel like whatever rating I would give it would not be fair. That's that. The last thing I read, again, I'm not going to talk about too much because it's actually already in a wrap-up for this year. If you go watch my January wrap-up, I already talked about this book. But I reread The Archived by Victoria Schwab because, again, we had a spot on our bingo board for reread a book, and this is, besides this Savage Song, this was the only other book that I had read by her. So this was my only option if I wanted a full bingo blackout board, which I did want and I did get. So I reread The Archived by Victoria Schwab, and I loved this book so much. It was the first Victoria Schwab book I ever read back when I first started my channel. One of the first books I read on my channel. I absolutely adored it. I love the characters, I love the world, I love the atmosphere and the vibe and the writing. It's so good. So I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I also annotated it, but not this copy. I annotated the bind up copy, but I wanted to show this one. Absolutely love it. 4 out of 5 stars. Fantastic. So that is it. That is my September wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. In fact, I've read 77 books this year so far, and I don't know how I've done it, but I'm like so interested to know how many books I'm gonna have read by the end of the year. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys read in the month of September. Let me know if you participated in Shoptember and how many books you read, how many bingos you got if you used the bingo board, all of the fun stuff. And subscribe if you have not yet already, and I'll see you guys next time.